Alright, welcome back to 3 lessons I've learned from 3 mistakes I've made. Again, if this concept is unfamiliar to you on my channel, briefly run through it right now. Basically what I do is I talk about 3 mistakes that I've personally made in my life, and I talk about the lessons that I've learned from them, in the hopes that one of the mistakes that I have made, you have either made yourself and you can relate to it. And just to give some general advice on ways in which you can avoid making the initial mistake in the first place, because it takes a strong mind and a strong body to not only learn from your own mistakes but to learn from other people's as well. So without further ado, I'll get into the first one. Firstly, start your day off productively. Now, I used to be in a very structured routine when it came to my morning. I'd wake up, I'd shower, I'd get dressed, I'd do my skincare, I'd do everything I needed to do, and I'd go make something to eat, and I'd sit and watch a YouTube video. But as of late, I've completely turned that around. Now, it's because I noticed that when I started watching all this stuff while I was eating, it wasn't inherently completely unproductive, because I'd still eat healthy and stuff like that. It's not like I was having an awful breakfast or anything, but the unproductivity stemmed from me watching something, because I'd end up going down a rabbit hole, and I'd be more likely to go down that rabbit hole because I started off doing it. It'll be very early in my morning that I would be doing that, So I noticed after I'd finished eating, and after I'd finished the video and ever, because I'm already sat here comfy in my chair in front of my laptop screen, what am I going to be more likely to do? I'm going to be more likely to continue watching rather than to get up, be more uncomfortable, and do something worth my time. If I turn that on its head, I ate my food downstairs, not in front of any screens, I'm still going to be in that mindset of, okay, right, I know what I need to do today. I don't need to do any of this stuff that's unproductive because I have this to do, I have this to do, I have this to do. I'm in that kind of frame of mind and in body. My literal position is more productive than what it was before. Me sat in this chair in front of a YouTube screen is not exactly telling my mind that I'm going to be productive after I'm done with this activity, if you know what I'm trying to say. Whereas if I'm completely away from all that stuff, I've got more headspace. I've literally got more physical space as well to think and do exactly what I know I need to do next after I finish it. And when you start your day off productively as well, this fuels a chain reaction to other things that you're going to be doing in your day. You know what I mean? You're more likely to do a second productive thing if you already did something productive. If you go to the gym, you know this feeling. When you get back, your endorphins are all over the place. You feel great. You feel like, $1 million, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to be more likely to want to do more productive things because you feel this huge dopamine rush from your workout, and that fuels that chain reaction. You're going to do something else which is going to give you a reward that's productive, and you're going to be more likely to do another productive thing. It builds a chain. But again, it's very hard to break a chain like that when you haven't even started being productive. It's hard for you to go from unproductivity to productivity than it is for you to go to productivity to unproductivity, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why it's so important that firstly in your day, try to get something productive done. Save the more low maintenance type stuff for near the end of the day when you're trying to wind down, because that's when you're going to be least productive, and it can serve as a bit of a reward for all the stuff you've worked at earlier in the day. Again, it's a mindset thing as well. It's kind of hard to do these things earlier in the day because that's when you're kind of most vulnerable to just sitting down, because you're probably still tired. You probably aren't right in the right frame of mind as soon as you get up. But once you make it a lifestyle, things like this become a lot easier, so you'll see benefits. But yeah, as I said, start your day off productively. Second lesson is to never compromise your values or beliefs. Now, this is something I don't do so much anymore. I very, very, very rarely ever catch myself doing it, if not at all. But during high school, when I look back, I did this a lot. If you ever lied in conversation just to make yourself sound cooler, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've done it to impress a girl, to impress your friends or something like that. It's something everyone has done. But when it gets to the point where you start fueling into your own like delusions or this fake reality you've kind of created for yourself, that's when it can become pretty self-damaging, because people notice authenticity. It's just like a very innate thing within all of us. Like, you can tell when someone is being their self, right? Like, you know, when you see these big name YouTubers who do their whole like flamboyant intros, like, wow, welcome to, you know, like all this type of stuff, right? You can tell that's not what they're like. They're not actually that energetic normally. They're just doing it so they can appear a certain way on their channel, you know? I also see these things with people in real life, in genuine conversation. Always this person in everyone's friend group who always tries to fit in. And that was me. That was me in high school. I used to say a lot of things to other people which I didn't really do. And a lot of these things which I said kind of went against my own values and my own beliefs, because during this time I was pretty early into, you know, self-development and this stuff. You know, I'd just been spamming video games for 12 hours a day. So my idea of, you know, creating a good life for myself wasn't exactly there yet, but I had like an inkling of what I wanted to do, you know? And I tell people, you know, oh, let's go play this game, oh, have you been doing all this, and oh, I want to go, you know, let's run some duos or something one time, bro. When what I'd really be wanting to do was, you know, try and take my initial steps into developing and improving upon myself. But I'd say things which were very contradictory to what I actually believed and wanted to do, just for the sake of fitting in with a certain crowd. People don't appreciate that. That's one thing you'll realize. People appreciate you having your own authenticity and self-identity. You being yourself wholeheartedly, even if it compromises their beliefs. Because you don't want to just be a sheep, a follower. You are here to make the most out of yourself. Be the most you can be. Not to try and fit in with someone else's beliefs so that you can just live a parallel life to them. People already know enough about themselves. They don't need another person who's trying to be exactly like them, tailing them 24/7. They want someone who they can clash ideals with, create some friction, some risk in the world. Again, by you compromising your own values and beliefs, you're not even being yourself, so you're not even going to be effective at doing that. Like, it's backward, and it's something a lot of people do. You know, whenever you see someone who you perceive to have more status than you, that's when this stuff happens. It's not going to happen to, you know, close friends and stuff like that, because you're kind of all, you know, unconsciously on the same level. But when you meet new people and stuff, especially, you know, girls and stuff, you're more likely to compromise your beliefs. But never do this. And I'm glad to say I don't do this anymore, because I kind of noticed myself doing it during high school, and ever since then I've made a vow, you know, never to really compromise my beliefs again, because I'm trying to be the most I can. I'm not trying to fit in with anyone else. You shouldn't be trying to fit in with anyone else. Do whatever you need to do to be the best, right? Don't ever compromise your beliefs. And this is why religion is a good thing as well, because that's the utmost authority. You know, nothing ever can really topple that. So yeah, that's why a lot of people turn to these things, I feel, is because they want that, you know, ultimate authority figure. Feel like, yeah, certain things can give you that. So yeah, don't compromise your beliefs or values. The third and final lesson is to encourage change. Now, one big benefit of encouraging change is kind of get a clean slate from it. Personally, I've gone through this most recently. Earlier in the year, I moved into my student accommodation, and my main reason to doing it was I wanted a clean slate. I wanted to be in a completely different environment, so everything is on me to be the best I can. and I get to be around a completely new demographic of people who see me for who I am now. Because people who I would have known before that, they would have known me for a long time in my life. And I'm talking about friends mainly, not family, because they recognize growth. But friends, certain ones that you kind of see in passing from high school, kind of only recognize the past you. They don't really encourage that growth. And it kind of holds you back, because then you're kind of bound by other people's perspective of you. But if you kind of get this clean slate, which change encourages, then you're around all these new people who see you for who you are now, the improved you. So the standards that you have to live up to are exactly the standards as to where you are right now. So you can wholeheartedly improve upon yourself as these other people see you as this, effective person, rather than your past self who probably wasn't as noble, to say the least, as who you are now. Let's say, assuming you've been self-improving for a decent amount of time now. And yeah, me moving into my accommodation did help with that. It helped me, get a fresh new mindset, kind of get this clean slate, make me realize a lot of the issues which I had with some scheduling, with sleep. I know this was a big thing for me, and I'm making big strides to sort that out now because of this change. I wouldn't have really noticed it as much if I didn't have that clean slate. And it helped me really recognize the value of family as well, because you never really realize how much you really miss that stuff when you're away from it. And yeah, it helped me recognize the value of that. A lot of lessons can be learned through change, whether that be physically, environmental change, or change of mindset, just a change of scenery. Like, certain small tweaks like this can make you realize a lot more than you could ever hope. And it's scary. Change is scary for a lot of people. I used to get terrified before school trips, which were like a couple of days long back in primary school, because I didn't want to stay away from my parents for that long. But after every single time I've done things like that, whether it be trips away, like what I said, staying in my accommodation, it's never been worse than I imagined. And I think I've said this before, but I've never done something which I've been anxious to do before that has been worse than I thought it would be. If anything, everything I've ever been anxious to do, I've enjoyed. So keep that in mind. Encourage change in your life, and you'll notice a lot of benefits. That's everything for today. Again, hopefully you can take something of value from this video, use it in your life, and subscribe if you enjoyed. More content is on the way, as I have mentioned. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I post reels on them pretty much daily. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. I've been Cyrus. Don't be a vape puffing nerd.